We have an update about the Diddy situation, and I want to start with the update, and then we're going to kind of transition into the Jaguar Wright appearance on Piers Morgan. Now, it appears here that Houston lawyer Tony Busby reveals he is representing over 120 Diddy accusers, 60 men, 60 women, with some claiming to have been victimized as young as 9, 14, and 15 years old. This is important for people to hear. Let's dive in.
The feckless and cowardly keyboard warriors love to attack. We know what we're up against. We did not enter this fray blindly. I wish it was my last such fray. I wish this type of behavior wasn't so pervasive. But it is what it is, so we will press on. As I said, our law firms have been retained by 120 individuals at this point to pursue cases in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs. You should know, in this group, it is evenly divided between males and females. There are 60 males and 60 females who have joined us to pursue these claims as plaintiffs. In this group, 62% identify as African American, 30% are white, and the remainder are Hispanic or Asian. The victims are from more than 25 states. The majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. I want to focus on the ages of these victims. When you talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15.
And this is where I want to pause, because this is something I want to point out. Again, these are just those that came forward that they're representing. There's a lot of focus from people about this particular Diddy case, and people are pointing towards celebrities. So there's a lot of focus on whether it's, Jay-Z, Usher. I keep hearing Justin Bieber's name over and over again, but a lot of people pointing to this person was at a Diddy party. That person was at a Diddy party. You were at a Diddy party. And just because someone was at the party doesn't mean that they participated in this type of behavior, that they participated in trafficking or violating people in any type of way. So I just want to be very clear about that. However, what I have noticed is people seem to be kind of quiet about the fact that there are victims that were minors, that were allegedly minors. And I'm not hearing as many people focus on that. We're talking about, he said 9 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old. And I think that more people do need to talk about that, right? So I don't really want to hear that Ashton Kutcher may have been there. I don't want to hear that so-and-so may have been. Like, these people were of age at that point in time. And just because they were at the party doesn't mean they participated in trafficking. But minors? Minors.
25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of. The time frame of the acts complained of is very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct. Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time.
And speaking of a very long time, again, we got to keep saying allegedly, but speaking for a very long time, Jaguar Wright has been on Piers Morgan to talk about this very long time recently. And Jaguar Wright has done a number of interviews, and this isn't new. I think the first time I saw an interview with her, this was years ago when she was calling out what some of the music artists and producers were doing to other artists in the music industry. And she had mentioned a number of names. So this goes back a couple of years, the first time I heard her talking about this. I hope Jaguar Wright has some type of protection. But recently she was on Piers Morgan's show, and there's a couple of things that she said there that I do want to highlight as well, because she also points out that it wasn't just Diddy, and that Diddy was basically, allegedly groomed to do what he did. by people above him who did the same thing. We talked about Clive Davis on this show before in reference to the phone call that Suge Knight made from prison to Chris Cuomo on News Nation. So we have discussed this type of thing before. It's not just Diddy. Then some of you may be wondering, why is it that they haven't gone after other people? And there's something I'm going to show you after this clip that makes me wonder why, if this is the reason why they chose to target him. But let's get into this here. Now, I will forewarn you, heads up, and you take this and you can decide at your own on your own accord. But some people do say that Jaguar Wright doesn't have evidence for some of the things that she's saying. So some people are just like, yeah, is all of this true? Maybe some of it may be true, maybe some of it not be true. So I do want to put that out there, that there have been a number of people that have pushed back and they said that she does not have evidence for some of the things that she's saying. Now, who is she? She is a musician. But apparently, according to her, she said she was a sex worker prior to being a musician. And that's how she was introduced to the industry. So let's go ahead and get in here.
A lot of people have been questioning, well, she doesn't really know him. She has no knowledge of him. She doesn't have a picture with him. I'm smarter than Claudia Jordan. I would never take a picture with the devil. Everyone knew he was the devil. He's been the devil for 30 years. He's been covered and protected by not only Clive Davis, but Lucian Grange. He was selected to be the demon that he is, to keep the culture in line so the industry could continue to rape it for all of its precious jewels. We have too many lost. The list of lost is ridiculous. And everyone knows Diddy was selected for this job. He's the Judas.
Do you think that if he's cornered in the way that he's been now, that he may start revealing things about other people?
He has no choice. His ego and his drug addiction won't allow him to do anything different. Anybody who thinks he's not going to talk is crazy. The simple fact that he's not saying more now only means that the people who have been protecting him all along, who put him in position to be such a horror to the Black community, still find value in him. He's got everybody on tape. They all know it. It's a mess.
For those.
So that's something I want to bring up as well. This idea that she said that, you know, it sounds like he will talk, or you're crazy if you think that he's not going to talk. So is he protected? Is he in a protected space in prison? Because I think we all know, remember Jeffrey Epstein. So I don't know. I do think if he does talk, I think that's probably pretty much, based on what I've read, and I've read a lot about this, that's probably basically the end of what we know of as the music industry. Because I've read a number of articles about this. I've watched a number of interviews about this from people that worked with him, not from just hearsay people, but his former bodyguard, etc. And it just seems like, to me, it seems like there were so many people involved that are in the music industry. And it seems like if he does talk and he starts naming names, that we could be possibly looking at the entire music industry going down.
You were never at these freak-off parties. What were they like?
See, this is the thing. Everything that I'm about to say to you is not my firsthand knowledge. It is my firsthand witness account experience. I was a sex worker. I was a dominatrix before I got my record deal. That's how I know how the dark world and the sex world and the entertainment world run hand in hand. That's why the movie Blink Twice is so important. Salute to Zoe Kravitz.
I have not seen that movie yet, and a number of people told me that I need to watch Blink Twice. So that's another one that's on my list.
The sex workers that I have worked with throughout the years and continue to work with even to this day have worn hidden cameras. I have my own tapes. I've seen what they do. The ritualistic behaviors, the drugging, putting girls in the suitcases, dumping them in alleyways. It's horrifying. And it's
So that was something interesting too, that she said that she has her own tape. So that makes me wonder if the feds are going to contact her next. I mean, if she's alleging here that she also has tapes, are they going to, raid, her home as well? Are they going to contact her? Will she be forced to testify? I don't know.
all done under the protection of this is going to be paid off. There's another NDA. This is going to be, it's terrible.
It seems to have been something that a lot of people knew about, but people were simply too scared to talk about.
Everyone knows. And every person that's sitting there trying to act surprised knows very well. The whole point of this, like Cat Williams said when he sat with Shay Shay earlier this year, the whole point of this is for them in a coordinated effort to pretend like none of it is real for the public's perception. But everyone knows what's going on, and it's been going on for years. It's been going on before Diddy. See, people keep looking at him like he's the Sputnik that came out of nowhere. This is someone who was designed to be what he is. We got to stop making ditties.
Pause there for just a second, and I want to chime in. The statement that she made when she said everybody knows, it makes me wonder, do all of those people also know about the alleged minors that were victims, like people that were underage that were, listen, I got to tell you something. Look, can we talk for a minute? Can we just be real? Okay. I remember like during the 90s, I remember seeing on MTV, Wanya Morris from Boys to Men was dating Brandy. And I love the group Boys to Men, and I love Brandy. Like Brandy was probably I was probably Brandy's biggest fan. I loved me some Brandy. And I just remember thinking to myself, even then, like, Brandy's a kid. Brandy's underage. Wanya is a grown man. Nobody is saying anything about this grown man dating this teenage girl. I don't know. And I'm like, is it just me? Am I the only one that feels this is kind of weird? Kind of weird. A lot of people point to Aaliyah and R. Kelly, right? That, they lied about her age. They got married and all that kind of stuff. Lied about the age so they could get married. And I think that was probably one of the bigger ones. But I feel like a lot of people slept on the Wanya and Brandy situation. And Brandy's mother was her manager. And now I'm seeing videos and interviews that are saying that Brandy's mother was the one who initiated the relationship, allegedly, with Wanya and Brandy. And my mother would never have introduced me to a grown man. Does everybody, I don't understand. I don't get these parents. I don't get these parents that handed their kids over. Like, I did not know, and I was lost on this. I had no idea that that Usher had custody of Justin Bieber. I didn't know that. How does this happen? How do parents hand their kid over to some random adult who says, I'm going to make your kid a star? You don't know these people. You don't know these people. And my mother, and especially my father, there's no way in hell they would have ever introduced me to a grown man. And there would have never been no, let's hang out together with each other without my parent present. There was never been none of that. So when she says this been going on for, these things have happened for a long time. It's not every parent. But I always question the parents. How do you just hand your child over to some random adult? I don't.
And if we're going to do that, then we got to go back. We got to go back to even further, the mentors of these people. Because Diddy was taught how to do what he does systematically. And Clyde Davis has been his greatest teacher.
Look, Clyde Davis is not here to respond to that. Jaguar,
Guess they're on vacation.
If this goes to court, Jaguar, do you think the world is going to be shocked by what comes out?
Oh, absolutely. I just don't know why they are. It's been happening in front of everyone's faces for decades. For decades.
How many victims?
What's the difference between me and Judy Garland? Social media.
Judy Garland. And this makes me wonder, is this part of the reason why Julie Garland, Garland, maybe they were saying, well, Julie Garland was on drugs or whatever. Maybe Judy Garland was introduced to that. Maybe it was given to her without her permission. We saw the statement from Eve where Eve said that it was Janet Jackson who Eve said she was at I believe like an event or whatever. And she said that somebody slipped something into her drink. And she said it was Janet Jackson who told her what to do to get out of that frame of mind, to help her not feel drugged or whatever. And that makes you wonder, so did someone try to do that to Janet Jackson? So this stuff just goes around. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, when you think of all these child actors and they say, what happened to that kid? They were the child star and then they just ended up becoming a drug addict. Did they just end up becoming that way? Or were they giving those kids drugs? Were they slipping things into their drink? Were they doing that to Britney Spears? Because let's remember, it's not like she just started off becoming, a pop singer. She was on the Mickey Mouse Club along with Justin Timberlake. So you got to think back on some of these things. Were they doing those things to those kids? Were they slipping things to Judy Garland and getting her hooked on those things? And then abusing her? And then people wonder what happened to Julie Garland? This is insane. This is insane.
How many victims?
There was none for her.
How many victims potentially do you think there could be?
Thousands. I've talked to hundreds that I deal with still myself. I think people should really look into that more.
They have weird edits for this interview. I don't know why.
I am friends with Albie Shore. I love him. I love his children. I knew Kim. We used to all hang out together at the Kit Kat Club back in the mid-90s when Diddy was first starting his reign. I watched that whole thing happen. And everything that Albert has been through, every attempt on his life that has been ignored by the authorities, it all leads back to Diddy. And everyone knows it.
And you wonder what happened to some of these people, because Albie Shore, for those who don't know, Albie Shore was an R&B singer, great voice. My parents, I think my mom really liked Albie Shore or whatever. And great voice. And then all of a sudden, these people just disappear. You're like, what happened to these people? And I told you guys this before, how I felt some kind of way about Diddy making these one-hit wonder artists, and then they just disappear and you don't know what happened to them. I'm like, what happened to these people? And it's just, was this done to all these artists? And it really also makes me wonder about Mary J. Blige, because remember, it was Diddy that discovered her, right? So did this happen to Mary J. Blige too? Was she also abused?
The wiretapping of the phones, putting AirTag on children during visits. These are normal practices that these people do.
Jaguar, I've got to leave it there. I really appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much.
But it doesn't end there. because there was something else that she said, and I don't know why, but I noticed on that interview it seemed like there were different cuts, so there were things that they edited out. But I want you to hear what she said here about Jay-Z as well.
Know why there's no vindication for me? Because for 4 years I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters, and the victim-making machine kept going on.
Jay-Z has been notable by his silence since these charges were brought against Diddy. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean. You must respond. You have no choice. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common, professionally and privately: Sean Carter. This has been a fist of tyranny that has been punching through our culture and our society for decades. It must stop.
There's been obviously a lot of
cruelty-free artistry.
Right. There's been a lot of.
So again, Sean Carter is Jay-Z, but notice what she said there. How she said Epstein, Weinstein, Diddy, all had one person in common, and that was Jay-Z.
Rumor mill about what has happened in the rap world. A lot of allegations that the misogyny in the lyrics clearly was based on a general misogyny towards women away from the music. And that clearly seems to have been borne out by these charges against Diddy, which if he's found guilty of all this, he's never coming out of prison. How dangerous do you think?
Thank God.
How dangerous do you think he is as a person?
I think he's one of the most dangerous people I've ever met. A lot of people have been questioning, well, she doesn't really know him. She has no knowledge of him. She doesn't have a picture with him. I'm smarter than Claudia Jordan.
Yeah, and we heard that part there. So something that I want to mention, another thing, we were talking about the underage thing. Something else that was brought to my attention, Jay-Z, how old was Beyonce when Jay-Z started dating Beyonce? How old was Foxy Brown when Jay-Z was dating Foxy Brown? And then that brings up the situation with someone like Rihanna. And you guys got to tell me how you feel about this, because this never sat right with me. From what I understand, Rihanna was a teenager when she came to the United States. And from what I understand, she came here by herself. Could you imagine? And it makes you wonder, did something happen where, again, we don't know, but did something happen to Rihanna? Where was the guardianship? Where was mom? Where was dad? Again, I don't understand how people can just hand their child over to some random person, I don't care famous or not, and take them across the ocean to another country. And it just, again, underage. And it's not just the hip hop industry. Let's be clear. It's not just hip hop industry, because you have musicians from like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rolling Stone. Also, we're dating underage women. And again, it's just like Jerry Lee Lewis. We can go on and on. And so the question comes to this, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are wondering this. Out of all the people that they're saying are involved, why would they go after Diddy? Why didn't they go after others? Well, someone sent this to me. I don't want to mention their name on here because I don't know if they want people knowing their name like that. But someone sent this to me and I didn't know about this. I'd never seen this video before. And Charlamagne the God is in this interview, and I think you guys want to hear this. Could this be part of the reason why they decided to target him and not others that are alleged to be involved? I never saw this interview. Listen to this. Oh, let me get my volume.
And it's called Our Black Party.
Okay.
It's time for us to have our...
Let's I'm trying to get it from the beginning.
That I've ever launched. And it's called Our Black Party.
Okay.
It's time for us to have our own black political party, unapologetically. Because right now, if you look at the debates, we're not even a part of the conversation.
Not at all.
We're not a part of the conversation. We don't have any political power. We don't have any political leverage. And so we started Our Black Party with some young, fearless black activists, elected officials, and I've stepped up and put the money behind it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the biggest threat and the only option that we have right now as far as making a change, taking our own self-responsibility and accountability to be educated and empowered with our vote.
So what's the goal for our Black Party?
Our Black Party's number one goal is to unify behind a black agenda.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Mm-hmm. You could be a part of the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, you could be an independent, but if you black, you wasn't born Republican, you wasn't born Democrat, you wasn't born independent, you was born black.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to seize our political power because it'll just be more the same, being pushed this way, being pushed that way, and we expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. But the definition of insanity is like doing the same thing over and over the same way, expecting a different result, and it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to change the tone. We got to start with us stepping up and really taking the responsibility and accountability to be a part of this political movement.
So that was sent to me again. I never, ever saw this interview. Never heard about it. And it makes you wonder. Apparently, he wanted to start a party for Black Americans. He wanted to start a political party for Black Americans. And so a number of people that have said that, why are they only going after him? Why didn't they go after other people that they know were involved as well? Like, why is it just bring him down? Why not bring other people that were part of, because he wasn't alone, that other people were a part of this as well. And then this was sent to me and they said, do you think maybe this is the reason why they went after him and not the others? Because he wanted to start a Black political party? I don't know. What do you guys think? I saw someone in the chat say that was a couple years ago. Yeah, I never saw it. Never saw it. Never heard of it. Never, saw the interview. And it makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. But I thought that was interesting. It's crazy times out here, folks. If he does talk, if he does decide to name names, get your popcorn first. I would say don't stand anybody, because you might end up hearing a name of someone that you might be fond of.